elephants of India. Are they gods or slaves is the question what we have. Why we see them at certain stages as slaves, we'll come to it later, but why they are gods? We've all heard about the elephants being the Ganesha, the god, the one with the elephant head. We worship him and all this stuff. We have various stories about it. But there is another part of it which is very rational. Why elephants are god? So before getting into the captive world, let us look at the wild side of them. So the spectacular gains, huge, strong, powerful, yet gentle, intelligent, and caring. This dual nature of them is what puts them in trouble most of the time. Worshipped as elephant god Sri Ganesha, and I see them as god of biodiversity. Very shortly, we'll see why. So in wild, elephant are known as keepers of earth. Okay, they walk about 10 to 15 kilometers a day by default and eat around 250 to 300 kilos of green, which consists of bark, fruit, grass, and various herbal leaves and other things. Out of which usually 25-30% of it is something that is a fruit or something that contains a seed. Now, the elephants have a very peculiar kind of digestive system. What they eat, and out of which only the grass and the rest of it kind of gets digested. Grass, in fact, gets partially digested, and the bark and other things get totally digested. The leaf gets digested, but the seeds do not get digested. So what happens is the undigested seed, when it poops out, comes out as a seed ball with a natural manure around the seed. Okay. And as they walk this 10-15 kilometers, especially to the areas which generally humans, the forest department, and other people do not venture into, they poop and spread this seeds around. As you can see in the pictures, leading to the smaller saplings and spreading the greenery around. So because they do it for kilometers together, naturally there is the rejuvenation of the forest that happens, resulting in the fresh distribution of saplings, which generally gets consumed by the smaller animals like deer, blackbuck, sambar, and other animals. Now, this results in something which is fantastic. What happens is, for any kind of a species to grow in population, food is very essential, especially in forest. Now, as you can see, the elephants ate something, got it into very isolated places, and they actually spread it across. And now we have saplings. And because there is a lot of herbivorous animals, so carnivorous animals also get sufficient food now. They don't have to venture into villages, or they don't come out of the forest because they have sufficient food. And the leftovers are being consumed by leopards or probably hyenas, wolves, vultures. So you can see there's a very integrated fabric of bio system that's already there because of elephants. This is one reason is good enough to call them as gods. They take care of our forest, they take care of our earth. And then they also do things like, very precisely they pick up, the soft bark, the trees, or the plants, or the saplings, and those are the soft woods. Okay, by cleaning that, the understory of the vegetation is cleared. Like you have sufficient space for the soil is loose enough to have the water penetrate into the ground, which is also one of the things that elephant does naturally, which promotes the growth of large trees that excel at storing carbon. Now, I just want to play this small video. This is a cartoon kind of a thing, a line drawing, but the facts are scientific, very, very scientific. This is a 5-minute video, and this will give you a complete idea of elephants beyond the forest and beyond the captivity as elephants, what they are. This is a very scientific information. For me to probably explain it, it would take more than 20-30 minutes, but this video speaks everything in 5 minutes. Please let us go through this. Hope the audio is...
It's a common saying that elephants never forget. But these magnificent animals are more than giant walking hard drives. The more we learn about elephants, the more it appears that their impressive memory is only one aspect of an incredible intelligence that makes them some of the most social, creative, and benevolent creatures on Earth. Unlike many proverbs, the one about elephant memory is scientifically accurate. Elephants know every member in their herd, able to recognize as many as 30 companions by sight or smell. This is a great help when migrating or encountering other potentially hostile elephants. They also remember and distinguish particular cues that signal danger, and can recall important locations long after their last visit. But it's the memories unrelated to survival that are the most fascinating. Elephants remember not only their herd companions, but other creatures who have made a strong impression on them. In one case, 2 circus elephants that had briefly performed together rejoiced when crossing paths 23 years later. This recognition isn't limited to others of their species. Elephants have also recognized humans they've bonded with after decades apart. All of this shows that elephant memory goes beyond responses to stimuli. Looking inside their heads, we can see why. The elephant boasts the largest brain of any land mammal, as well as an impressive encephalization quotient. This is the size of the brain relative to what we'd expect for an animal's body size, and the elephant's EQ is nearly as high as a chimpanzee's. And despite the distant relation, convergent evolution has made it remarkably similar to the human brain, with as many neurons and synapses in a highly developed hippocampus and cerebral cortex. It is the hippocampus strongly associated with emotion that aids recollection by encoding important experiences into long-term memories. The ability to distinguish this importance makes elephant memory a complex and adaptable faculty beyond rote memorization. It's what allows elephants who survived a drought in their youth to recognize its warning signs in adulthood, which is why clans with older matriarchs have higher survival rates. Unfortunately, it's also what makes elephants one of the few non-human animals to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. The cerebral cortex, on the other hand, enables problem-solving, which elephants display in many creative ways. They also tackle problems cooperatively, sometimes even outwitting the researchers and manipulating their partners. And they've grasped basic arithmetic, keeping track of the relative amounts of fruit in 2 baskets after multiple changes. The rare combination of memory and problem-solving can explain some of elephants' most clever behaviors, but it doesn't explain some of the things we're just beginning to learn about their mental lives. Elephants communicate using everything from body signals and vocalizations to infrasound rumbles that can be heard kilometers away, and their understanding of syntax suggests that they have their own language and grammar. This sense of language may even go beyond simple communication. Elephants create art by carefully choosing and combining different colors and elements. They can also recognize 12 distinct tones of music and recreate melodies. And yes, there is an elephant band. But perhaps the most amazing thing about elephants is a capacity even more important than cleverness: their sense of empathy, altruism, and justice. Elephants are the only non-human animals to mourn their dead, performing burial rituals and returning to visit graves. They have shown concern for other species as well. One working elephant refused to set a log down into a hole where a dog was sleeping, while elephants encountering injured humans have sometimes stood guard and gently comforted them with their trunk. On the other hand, elephant attacks on human villages have usually occurred right after massive poachings or cullings, suggesting deliberate revenge. When we consider all this evidence, along with the fact that elephants are one of the few species who can recognize themselves in a mirror, it's hard to escape the conclusion that they are conscious, intelligent, and emotional beings. Unfortunately, humanity's treatment of elephants does not reflect this, as they continue to suffer from habitat destruction in Asia, ivory poaching in Africa, and mistreatment in captivity worldwide. Given what we now know about elephants, and what they continue to teach us about animal intelligence, it is more important than ever to ensure that what the English poet John Donne described as nature's great masterpiece does not vanish from the world's canvas.
Fantastic. So I believe that would have given overview of how intelligent, how beautiful these beings are, and they're very capable. In fact, there are areas when we work with the HEC area. HEC is a human-elephant conflict. You would have seen that the elephant throws something at an electrical fence and shortens it. If you dig a trench, it fills the mud with it, and it crosses over. We tried with the railway track fencing, and it crossed over, or probably it found the place where there was separate, sufficient gap, and tried to move, get through it. The extremely intelligent animal, and they try to adapt the learning as and when the challenge appears, unlike trying to be over intelligent of doing things when it is not required. So that is one of the reason why till date we are not able to contain the conflict very effectively, because any challenge you put across like any other animal, elephants are capable of overcoming that with their sheer intelligence. Now, elephants have been one of the primary and probably one of the most wildlife species. Okay, they're intelligent, wise, compassionate, social, and they've played game-changing, role in the history. Earth movers from several thousand years. They have been the earth movers. So I have a different logic and a different story for the Prathama Puja. I've all heard about this. For anything that we do something called as Prathama Puja, and that is done for Ganesha. There's a culture what we Hindus, we Brahmins follow. Now, why is this Prathama Puja? We say because of it is Vigna Vinashka. Vigna Vinashka is what? If you go probably 5,000, 10,000 years ago, I'm going very, very rational, very scientific here instead of trying to be religious or story based. Those were the days when the earth was filled with forest. To construct any village, any kingdom, any palace, any temple, the first thing that was needed was to clear the ground, right? So to clear the ground, the elephant had to come. If you go to Western Ghats and other places today, you can see the kind of huge trees. There's no way 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, probably the humans didn't have a proper technique to remove it other than using the elephant. So elephants are brought in, and as we all know, as Sanatanis are the people who follow Sanatana Dharma, the first thing we do is, irrelevant of what the animal is or what the object is or what the tool is, we worship it before using it. Even if you buy a car today, you worship it, you take it to temple and get a puja done for it. So similar culture was started with the temple, with the elephants, and they started worshipping it before asking it to probably clean the land. And that's where the Prathama Puja came in terms of any kind of activity on the ground. And later on, probably that transpired into making sure that if you see, almost any temple will have one Ganesha idea. Okay, so it's a long story, which probably I feel, is something sometime we can probably all discuss in another window. But yes, that is something why, again, I say we should have the gratitude for elephants forever, because what they have done for a humankind is something which is beautiful. They have been reliable tankers of ancient warfare, and they have been the showstoppers for religious events. Now it comes to the captive elephant part of it. Now, for them to participate in all these human activities, they need to be compelled and trained. There is no way probably a child like this would go and sit on an elephant's leg in the wild. That's impossible. We wouldn't allow the child at all to do that, right? So what happens? The basic process is, as a wild animal, it's gentle, so captured, or probably if it is born in captivity also, it has to be compelled, because eventually it's a wild animal. You will never see a bison, you will never see a sambar deer, being used for any activity, right? We don't use it for temple, or we don't use it for tourism, we don't use it for timber, any kind of activity. It's only the elephants that we do, where we, work with them and we use them for various activities. And for that, we use something called as crush to first make sure that they are trainable. Crush is the activity which we use before training them. We make it then trainable. So I'll not get into the crush factor. People who know about it probably know about it. We don't have too much of time about it. But crush is not something really that we would advocate for. But unfortunately, there's the only way that you can convert a wild elephant into a tamed elephant. Now, what is the concern? Once it comes to captivity, what happens? So elephants, as I told you, need to walk 10 to 15 kilometers and they don't get that mile. Why is it very important? Elephants are tiptoers. Though you see the leg as a kind of a pillar, they are actually, their bone system is something like where it is standing on its toes. So the weight is on the toes, and that is the problem. Now, when it is standing on the toes, how can we make sure that it is actually on the toes? If you look at it, all our toenails, is parallel to the ground, while elephants goes perpendicular into the ground. From there itself, the issue also starts. Now, what happens is, since elephants are usually, even captive elephants are kept on places where we have concrete or solid tiles or stones, the nails do not have space to grow. The elephants are made to stand 7, 8, 10 hours. The elephants usually don't sleep. They sleep only for 4 to 5 hours. Generally, they're standing and the nails don't get space to grow. They push back. So in Kannada, we call it as ugur suttu, otherwise we call abscess, kind of a word, which creates a pain here. It's more like, for children, when we were children, we used to wear shoes. And if we are not changing the shoes according to our, leg growth or the foot growth, we used to have this pain initially, and then we used to have problem with our, nails and other things. The same thing happens, but unfortunately, what happens is, since elephants eat a lot and drink a lot of water, they pee almost 20 times a day, 20, 30 liters. They keep pooping. And it's very difficult for anyone, let alone Mahout, for anyone to continuously keep cleaning it. So this is a situation that creates a lot of problem for elephants. And it ends up with a major wound issue. There are elephants that have died just because of this wound in the leg and abscess. And their ankles are continuously chained because they are kept in public spaces, which also create the kind of wounds what you can see. And then elephants are heavy. If you're seeing a lot of people, especially when we go to our for having a food sitting on the ground, people who are really fat use their hip also to turn around and move. They use their hand. The whole body is used to get up. Same thing with elephant. They use their hip to get up or get down. This creates a lot of rubbing, against the stone or the tile or whatever, the hard surface, creating this kind of abscess. You would have seen these pus balls behind elephants. That is the result of being on a hard surface. So what is the solution for this? So what we do is we speak about installing animal friendly perforated industrial level rubber mats or bio friendly rubber mats which has perforation. So when the elephant pees, it goes away through the perforated mat and there are channels below that and it passes away. And the dung is something probably they can wipe it off, and since it's going to be something like interlocking, a particular piece can be removed that moment, washed and put back. So maybe you may not do it 20 times a day, but it can be done 4-5 times in a day. Okay. And this also provides sufficient cushion for the elephant's foot. And it allows the elephant nails to grow through. Even the rubber is there, it still has sufficient cushion to grow through. And make sure that the elephant's foot, the soft pad, is not damaged. So what is the solution? There's something what we could do, something called as manicure and pedicure. So even after all that, in wild, what happens is, since elephants keep walking on various kind of terrain and uses its legs for various activities, there's the natural way of filing away the nails. But on hard stone and other places, it doesn't happen. So it has to be done manually using files and knives. So there are specialists who do it. One of my mentors is amazing guy. I just respect and love him because he puts his head under the foot of the elephant and does it. That's the way he connects with the elephant. And then the foot pad has to be cleaned. What happens is, because it's standing on the hard surface, it develops a dead skin. The pad develops a dead skin layer that has to be removed, and preferably use insulated ankle chain instead of direct chain. The ankle chain right now, what the image what shows is probably plastic or rubber. We suggest to use more of a leather kind of a material, so the rubbing of metal directly on the skin is reduced. Next, human interaction. Look, we come from a culture where elephants have been extensively used. I'm not speaking about that subject. It's a huge topic, how we used and what happened, kind of a thing, as I told you. But it's a part of our culture. Maybe a procession, or or maybe you want to take the idol on a this thing, Dasara kind of a thing, or it happened Guruvayur kind of a thing, Kerala and all. So these are yearly, annual events where elephants interaction is needed only for 2 or 3 days, or let us say 15 days. But then it is also unfortunately is used at various times for things like elephant tourism, where people go for a joyride. I think that is something probably we should stop doing to reduce the interaction of humans with the elephants. That's definitely not probably we can, we cannot stop kind of a thing, or probably once the kind of pose what we can see for a selfie. So definitely these are the things which can be cut off very clearly without hurting our cultural practices. Yes, that is painful a bit, but this creates more pain. And since elephants are supposed to be managed continuously among the crowd, among the kind of public, regularly, continuously, it has to be restrained also and controlled also more regularly. And it takes a lot of various ways and methods, again, which is not helpful for the elephant to go through it. And it kind of strains the relationship between Mahout and the elephant. When continuously Mahout is controlling the elephant, using bull hook, or his chaining gate, his kind of, they shouted it, they literally shouted the elephant. There is different level of scolding for the elephant. So it strains the relationship. They're just like our children. I don't know, you saw how the elephant brain works, right? They are emotional and it affects them like any other animal. So this strained relationships causes this. You see the bull hook, right? It has around 3 inches of metal that goes into the head. You can see on the left the image what it has caused. And I'm okay. One disclaimer: when I show these pictures to you and I'm telling you this, there's not a blanket story about all elephants and all mahouts. Please don't treat mahouts as villains. Okay, but yes, most of the places this is happening because mahouts are people who are tribals. In Karnataka, we call them as Jenukurbaru, and there are a lot of Muslims also. More than 70-80% of Muslims in Karnataka. The thing I've seen same thing in Kerala also. We're seeing quite a number of people, and they have learned it from their ancestors. And our ancestral way of managing the wild animals was wild way. They never worried about probably how to manage it very empathetically, because they were used for such works. But yes, that doesn't mean that we are not involved. There is something called as Gaja Shastra, a book called Gaja Shastra, which very clearly speaks about how elephants should be managed, which has not been probably passed down to a lot of generations. So a lot of people don't know how to manage the elephants today. So as I was telling you, please avoid unnecessary interaction with the elephant. Let us not use them for fun and entertainment. Already circus has been banned in India, and there are few things. You go to Dubai. I have a video which I was really feeling bad about the way it was. Someone was ready to pay 100 rupees, and this guy was making it stand on 2 legs. It's just like circus. Do not entertain such things. Please don't pay money for such entertainment to the mahouts. That has become a very bad habit. For you, probably it's one time that you saw the elephant, but the elephant has to do that 100 times for all the visitors or the people who are interested in, which goes to a lot of abuse. Do not encourage elephant begging. This is one space, again, a lot of people probably don't know about this. We all love elephants. We go to the temple, we see the elephant, we go and give banana or coconut or something like that, and 10 rupees to Mouth, and Mouth also happily allows you to do that because he will get the money, right? But more than 70% of the captive elephants, especially the ones that are in temples, unfortunately, are going through diabetes. Because elephants are already fed a decent amount of food. Because for every, irrelevant of where the elephant is across in India, at least, is tourism or temple or timber, it is still the property of forest department, and you will have some forest official or the forest person coming and looking at the well-being of the elephant generally. I'll come to that part later, but there's already a defined food for them. But when I go and give one, banana, then I have another 200 people visiting the temple. At least 100 people will go and give that. So obviously, the sugar level increases, and moreover, as I mentioned earlier, the elephants do not get sufficient exercise by walking and other things. So let us not do that. Elephants are extremely sensitive about their personal space. Respect it. Selfies are good. You can do it still from a distance. Avoid going closer to it, because elephants are very, very sensitive about that. And they will react just to make sure. If you're seeing that in the wild and all, right, you're passing in Bandipur, it chases you away. Why do you think an elephant, you're able to go and stand next to it out of fear? If you go to Dubai and other places, very clearly they will allow you to take the selfie only if mouth is next to it. Otherwise, say, please don't do it. Stay away. Because it is still in the fear. It has to be kept in the fear to make sure that it doesn't react. It is not reacting because it's bad, because it is it's space. We all have our own personal space, which we prefer that someone shouldn't enter into. Same thing with elephants. And then comes the stereotypical behavior. You would have seen these elephants standing and swaying their head, and if you ask mouth, he'll say it's dancing. It's happy, it's dancing, which generally is not the case. Very rarely, naturally, elephant would have danced, is what we have heard. I've never heard actually any Mahouts. When I speak to them personally, I work a lot with Mahouts directly. They say, no, that's not the fact. They have spoken about it. Okay. So what happens is, this is a stress kind of a thing. Elephants are extremely active animal. When you are tying them up for 8, 10, 12 hours without a social life, without activities, they kind of tend to, we can't stand in one place for 1 hour. We keep shifting our weight. Think about a 3-ton, 4-ton animal standing in one singular place, hard surface, same places, pee, poo, everything. What happens? Obviously, it starts shaking and moving, which actually is a sign of distress. And when elephant is taken out into the public in this kind of a mindset, automatically the accidents. So what is the solution? Keep them engaged. So how do you do it? So what we suggest, or what we advocate is, look, earlier days, in our ancestor days, elephants had, the temples had huge spaces, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500 acres kind of a temple space. And the elephants were kept in that space, which had a farm and everything, which was, very, very safe for them, which had really a good and sufficient things to be around kind of a thing. And it was multiple elephants kept in one temple. Today in Karnataka, at least Kerala still have that way. I'm okay with the Kerala part of it, where they have multiple elephants in few spaces, but not all. But in Karnataka, most of the places you see a lone elephant. Elephants are extremely social beings, as you saw. Now think about it, just this one elephant doing nothing. It comes, it stands in the temple for 8 to 10 hours, goes back, it's fed, it's bathed, it's back again. So it loses the social life. So what we suggest is, most of these temples where you see the elephant kind of the temples have an elephant, it's usually our culture, right? So you see 3-4 temples within a radius of 20-30 kilometers. So all these elephants probably can be kept in one common space regularly. Only when there is a religious activity where the elephant has to be got for the purpose of puja or anything like that, they bring it there, they do the puja and keep it back. Okay. And in those areas, you can have various, we call something as the elephant gym, or with the elephant toys and other things. They will love playing. Give them a lot of activities to play. It's not an expensive affair at all, actually. You know the blue barrels, what we get, right? This 25-liter, 50-liter barrel. You put grass into that, close it, make 3-4 holes, and it will spend its 2 days doing just trying to get the grass out of it. And it's happy with that. So the happy elephants are the one which will not be a problem for Mahout or the public. So this is something what we want to avoid. So we are not against the culture. We want to avoid or probably mitigate the accidents that happen, because those things are not taken. It has a wound in the leg, it has a wound on its hip, it is not taken care of in terms of its walking and other things. All this eventually put the elephants into distress, where it becomes very difficult for them to be in a part of any event. And they become they are unpredictable by default, but it becomes more unpredictable. In fact, these are the kind of events that are being used by anti-culture elements, saying that, you know what, Hindu culture is bad, Hindu culture, use elephant for bad reasons, is creating the, nuisance and all the stuff. They use it against us. We need to work in such a way that our elephants are gods and we treat them as elephants and we don't misuse it in certain ways. And it's not just we, right? The problem happens is because, yes, as Brahmins, we are all empathetic, as Hindus, we are empathetic. And then there's a middle ground called, or probably mid area called Mahuts, who are not well educated. It's not that they're bad. Unfortunately, they are not educated. They come from that rawness of the life. Okay. And they needs to be educated. So we work a lot with them. We focus to do that. When I say a lot, of course, what I do is probably at a micro level, 0.0001 kind of a thing. But still, we see that there's one space we need to work upon. So when we do that, we see that there is challenges in terms of the elephants participating in the cultural activities is less. So I'll just give a couple of things that has happened recently. I was in Sakrabailu. There's an elephant called Raghavendra. Okay, this elephant has been brought from our Mantralaya temple. One of the eye is damaged, and the reason has being that the Mahut there hit the elephant for the eye, and it went to the forest department. Forest department said, "You guys can't manage it anymore. Please give it us back." And it is in Sakrabailu. I'm now working with that Mahut to see what best can be done, and the Mahut is a Muslim. No regrets. But these guys participate in all our activities. I was there on last August 12th for Elephants Day, and there was one more head bobbing elephant and all the stuff. So I spoke to these guys. They were the one who were putting in the kumkum for the elephant and all the stuff. So it's not about the caste or anything like that. What we look at is anyone who can respect our culture and make sure that they take care of the elephant like the way we look at it as a god is what we need. So the solution, there's something called as reinforcement, because elephants are very powerful. They are fear is reinforced into them regularly, especially the tuskers. Okay. Again, there's a large story. I'll just cut it short because they go through the must kind of a thing every year, 3 to 4 months, 5 months. I know one elephant in Art of Living that goes 5 to 6 months kind of a thing in must period. They kind of regain their confidence, and to break that, they'll have to go through the crush kind of activity again, and that can be avoided by using something called as target training. A lot of animal trainers use this methodology. Even dogs, horses, a lot of things. For elephant also, it has been seen, it is very, very efficient. So what they do is, it's a long stick with probably a cotton ball at the edge. The elephant, they touch the elephant particular part, ear, leg, or anything like that, and tells the elephant first what is it. They touch and say leg, touch and leg, and they say touch leg, and they give a probably banana or a sweet or something like that. It's more like training the children with a candy. Okay, and over a period of time, elephant, you just touch that part, elephant gives access to that. And what you see in between is called as PW, protective wall. And it is, I highly advise that generally, even for Mahuts, that please work across. Don't get into it as much as possible, so that they have the personal space. And when you go to them really, they remember the soft target training where they feel that, okay, you're their friend, you're giving them candy, you're taking care of them, and instead of that, he's coming with a bull hook, he's beating up, he's going to abuse me. So avoid that is what we talk to them about. And we said, don't force the elephant. If the elephant doesn't want to participate in a particular activity, if it is not ready, do not force it, do not beat it, do not push it. And encourage Mahuts to analyze the body language. And apart from that, of course, focusing on the learning of elephant vocabulary. This is one thing what I've been advocating a lot. We have always trained the elephant our language. In Kerala, we have taught Malayalam. Here, it's more of Urdu is what they use. Okay, so every state has taught the language to the elephant, but as you saw in the video, elephant has their own fantastic language with over 200 variations, and it has been found that very successfully you can communicate with elephant. And if you can learn how elephants talk to each other, it becomes so easy to talk to them and communicate to them and manage them. And you know that, okay, this elephant right now is not something I can take into the public place or into the temple. It may cause problems, so you can stay away from that. So what is the objective of the cause? So what we do is we work at the grassroots level and mitigate challenges what the elephants go through and bring the change in elephant management handling. This is what we are doing. Build a community that works for fine balance of elephant and culture. Elephant welfare is very important for us, and so is the culture. We do not want to leave either of it. Educate and support coexistence among stakeholders of elephant ecosystems such as authorities, mahouts, farmers. So personally, we bring in experts, who come and teach and train. We take ideas from them. I know a scientist, who's sitting in Africa and working on this, as told you, the sounds of elephant. Elephants are fantastic animals. It is capable of listening from both acoustics and seismic from the ground. Acoustics is around 2.5, 3 kilometers. Seismic is around 25 kilometers. So in the ground level, the beautiful thing is that they can identify there is another herd coming in or what is happening. They can communicate with each other. That's one of the most beautiful thing with the elephant. And in fact, they have been using it to see how this can be utilized to mitigate the elephant conflict, human elephant conflict, rather than using the hard way to push back the elephant. Instead of hard mitigation, we are looking at the soft mitigation. And we work with mahouts where what we do is, okay, one of the problem what we face generally is this. Mahouts are, there are two categories. One is the government employees. They are paid from the government as salary and other things. And there are contract employees, just like a BNP and other things. Their pay scale is really negligible. I don't want to get into the number. They keep changing, and maybe they are, telling a lie, or the department is lying, but it's really negligible amount. And these guys are sitting in deeper part of the jungle, 10, 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers inside the forest from, let's say, a Dubare kind of elephant camp. They have this 5-6 rescued elephant or 5-6 elephants which are being trained. We keep listening, right? From Tamil Nadu that, particular elephant was captured and sent for training. So this is where they get trained. And these mahouts are generally not on pay scale, at least not everyone. If you say 5 elephants, it is 5 mahouts, 5 kavdis. Kavdis are the assistants of mahouts, and their family is around 25-30 people, and they live in a sheer poverty. And they don't have anything else to do. These guys are supposed to train the elephant. Once they train it, they are supposed to, and they're also training elephants. The elephants that has to be trained, and there are elephants which are already trained. They're supposed to take it into the deeper the forest inside, apart from their hamlet, and they leave the elephants there. And in the evening, they go and get it back. They don't have anything else to do. And finance is always a problem for them. And the children have problem with the school because they have to be sent 10-15 kilometers away from the hamlet to the school. They have to pass through the forest. So they will have some two-wheeler or something like that. They'll have this 5-6 kids sitting on the two-wheeler, go drop them in morning 7:38. And in the edge of the forest, a government school, probably how it works. By 11:30, 12, they're back home. They are jobless. They don't know what to do. So eventually, we have seen these guys are addicted to stuff and things like that in the forest. The mouse just go do that, and smoke up something, and they are there. And then you have the ladies who are fighting against each other because of, you are taken away my vessel, you are taken away that, you broke this and all the stuff. And the children are lost. Okay. Now, if you see, one of the thing is for this people, they have a very, very natural ability to live in the forest. They know which animal comes where, what time, how it works, and all this stuff. Couple of cases, of course, these are the very internal matters of what we work with, where they are told that these kids are the hook for poachers. You pay 100 rupees to this kid, he will tell you exactly this tiger comes where, what time, how. So you know what is happening. We sit here and we blame the mahouts, we blame people, but somewhere probably as a society we have not given them the kind of learning, the kind of a position what they should be in, and this is what is happening. So that's one space what we are trying to work with. It's a different plan altogether. I'm not speaking about it here. So how can you help us? The simplest help I would look for is this. We have a WhatsApp group and we also have a Facebook group. Probably, I'll have to create one more WhatsApp group. The other one is probably almost full. Wherever you go out, travel and you see a temple or an elephant or something like that, just take photos of this elephant's leg, Okay, the back, if you think there's a pus ball or something like that, let us know which temple it is. If you can get the contact, fantastic. You can talk to the Mahout and get us the contact, it's fantastic. We will get in touch with the authorities and we will counsel the Mahout, and in approval of the authorities, we help the elephant and we give them better facilities. As I told you, there are times where we have organized funds and we have given them facilities where they don't have money. Okay, so this is what we do. And as of what we do is concerned, I'm just not trying to put the name here because it's not a marketing activity. This is just an initiative and this is not an NGO or a trust. So we don't take in a donation or money kind of a thing. So we don't expect any kind of a help like that. What we expect is just the information of an elephant in distress. So we can help the elephant and we stop people who are trying to create that damage to our some of the cultural practices by using this loophole in our practice. There's a small loophole what we have in our practice. If we can fine tune the authorities, if we can fine tune the mahouts, I think we'll be well balanced, hopefully. Of course, there are challenges. I wouldn't deny that. There are definitely challenges, but let us do what we can do from where we are with what we have is what I believe in. And this is how you can identify. You can see the broken nails, right? The broken nails. You can see the abscess forming. There are times where we have seen the pressure of the nail is so much that the pus is created within inside the leg and it blasts off. The leg muscle blasts off. That has happened. Okay, you can see the abscess issue. You can see the wound on the leg, and if you probably even the hygiene issue. If you see that they have an elephant, it looks fine, but the dung and pee, everything is there. They're not managing it. Please let us know. We'll talk to them. We will try to make them understand and help them to manage it. So we don't involve any government authority. We are not activists. We don't believe in going to court and fighting it. We don't believe in fighting with the people, and because it never resolves the problem. We just want to solve the problem then and there as much as possible. Just give that relief to the elephant, which is important, rather than fighting over the ego. While we are speaking, while I am doing this session, probably there are another 100 elephants out there who are going through the pain. So I would probably love to address that pain rather than trying to find out a legal way to punish the people who are handling it. I would love to talk to these guys and resolve the problem. And just join us so I can become we kind of a thing. So I do have few people who are already there, helping us and we're supporting. So let us know how else probably you think we can improvise the elephant life, especially in our own places, be it tourism and other places, and avoid tourism, elephant tourism especially. In fact, when I do this workshop in the school, I do a lot of free workshops in schools. I've done probably for more than 8,000 students till now. When we do this workshop for students, the only thing I expect from them is they take an oath that they will never do an elephant ride in their life. You see the elephant, you worship, you do everything, but we never go and sit on our gods. We never sit on our god. Let us respect it as a god. Elephants are a god. Let us treat them like that. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to stop the sharing of the last this thing. Facebook.com/laughing elephants. You can search for laughing elephants, and we have a group there. And for WhatsApp, I think most of you have my number, or probably you can reach out to your MC and I'll share the number in particular, and you can join our group. I'll send the self invite for the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much. I'll just stop sharing, and if there's any questions, I think we still have another 5-10 minutes probably. Yeah, I have 9 minutes more. I can take questions.
Thank you, Kiran, so much for that wonderful session. It was so touching. At the same time, it's also, painful to understand what kind of discomfort and pain these wonderful creatures go through. So we just have another 8 more minutes. We can open it for any questions. But I think we all learned about what we can do, but that's not sufficient. I think if we can influence the next generation from us to probably not encourage any one of these things like Kiran was saying about elephant tourism or elephant sport or anything, I think they would probably be the ones who would do the right thing for these wonderful creatures. So just opening it for the next 10 minutes for any questions. If you have, please feel free to ask.
Kiran, can we plan for any temple visits and educate them for this well treatment of the elephants?
It can be done, but it usually doesn't happen in groups because this is done by experts. We work as anchors in between. Because educating for that, we will have to expertise. I've been into it for 6-7 years, but still probably there's a lot of things what I need to learn. So what we do is we have a set of experts who work. There's a lot of work happening below the layer. So definitely what I would suggest is educate the people on the other side. We're still not in the stage probably to educate the mahouts, but we can educate the people. Educate our family, friends. If they're saying we are visiting temple and you know that the temple has an elephant, tell them not to give them banana, not to feed them anything. So things more like that.
Now, why I asked that question is more time Maut only spends with the elephants. If he can able to get him to the right slot, then I think majority of the problem has been addressed. With that intention, I posed that question.
Yes, thank you so much. So what we can do is probably with the elephant, this thing, what do you say, part of it, we can't probably educate them. But definitely with mahouts, we are doing certain things, probably one of the things what we are looking at is educating the children of mahouts about hygiene. Because look, what happens is if they don't have a good life, they are not happy with their job, they will show that on the elephant. So maybe
in our STS program next time we may pull up some money and see how we can contribute to the wellness of the mahouts, so that let them not take some revenge kind of a thing on elephants.
That would be fantastic. So generally what we do is, as I told earlier, we are not a trust yet. In fact, I'm planning for a trust, but we are not a trust, and it's been an initiative and there's no financial transaction what we do. So if someone is really interested and think that, okay, I can probably help financially or something like that, we'll identify the challenge, we'll identify the problem and connect you to the problem directly. Let's say this particular temple wants 20 by 20 square feet of mat, and you can procure it and give it to the temple directly. We get involved only in terms of communicating and facilitating, but financial transaction and other things has to be handled by you.
Thank you.
Of course, but it's a good question, Pawan. So what we are trying to do is, one of the thing is, this mahouts come from the natural instinct and natural knowledge about all these trees and other things, and we want to educate their children, but we don't want to make them engineers and doctors. Okay, so these people who are earning 10-15K per month, the whole family gets 10-15-20K at the most per month in a deep jungle with 5-6 people in the family, which is peanuts. What we are trying to do is educate these children to become biologists. We will not bring them here because the moment they come here, they look at the city, they get lost with all this thing. We want to identify, we are working with few schools already in that regard. We take the teachers on a paid vacation kind of a thing. They stay there in the hamlet with 5 days, 6 days, 8 days. And for next 8 days, there's a workshop on, let us say, hygiene. Workshop on English. They do homework, they do everything. Even if the parents want to join, they can join kind of a thing. So that way, we start with the basic language and other things. And then we have experts in the industry. We have people who work only on frogs. We have people who work only on leopards. So they come in and they educate these people. So this is the plan what we are working on. Hopefully probably 23 end is what we are looking at to launch this.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for enlightening us on this. It's an excellent session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The next time we see an elephant, our perspective will totally change.
Thank you.
You really passed on the pain of the elephants to us, really. Okay. Thank you so much. The way you spoke, the sincerity, the passion, very much palpable in your face. Thank you so much for educating us. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Kiran, for this wonderful session. And the one message I would want to leave with all of you as we wind up for the night is that children can be probably the biggest influencers as far as animal cruelty and things like that are concerned. So I think we should probably all try and see if we can get Kiran to spare some time and take him to the schools to do a workshop and then take it forward. All
That'd be
right.
a fantastic thing. Thanks for that, Kiran. I forgot about it almost. Yes, we do a lot of free workshop for the schools in terms of children. It's usually 1.5 to 2 hours kind of a workshop what we do with children to educate them about the elephants. In fact, today, at least in our age, we still value the culture and also look at the wild. But as you know, that the next generation that's coming in, they are already distancing themselves from the culture part of it. If we do not give them the right reasons to connect back to the culture and right reasons to connect back to the wildlife, probably one of the very, very important thread of the evolution will be lost, is what I believe it is.
Kiran, is there anybody in Chennai from your team who can do this to the schools in Chennai? Or maybe next time when you're in Chennai, you can let us know. Definitely, I would like to take you to a couple of schools.
Definitely, Suresh. Probably this is something what I have been doing almost all alone. I had a couple of interns who were doing it, but they have moved out to Africa and one more place. In fact, I'm happy that they are still working with elephants. But at present, when it comes to the education part of it, it's only me who's handling.
And I can also tell you from my own perspective, if from Rotary, definitely we would like to tie up with you and then see what best we can try and support you in your initiative. And then, that can be spread. I am part of Rotary here in Chennai, Rotary Club of Madras West. Definitely, whenever you are in Chennai, we would like to have your address to all our members and then probably larger audience also. And then we would like
Definitely.
to partner with you.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kiran, for this very enlightening session. And thank you all of you for joining us on this call. And as always, Ramya, thank you so much for setting up this for us. Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night,
you.
all.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.